Bye. Well, good morning, everyone in Pivot Shift Ahead. It's your friend James Shaw, and thank you so much for choosing to be here as part of the Pivot Shift Ahead Mastermind today. It's two calls in one, right? We do the pre-show, which is Zoom and podcast only, and then we do this part of the call, which is Zoom and podcast and Facebook Live and all the stuff. It's so much fun, and I'm thankful that you have chosen to be here today. Yesterday and the day before, so Wednesday and Thursday, I was with the Virginias region and we did their ALC clinic. It's one of 8 ALC clinics I'm doing this year. Up next is South Florida in October. And it's just so much fun to hang out with the top agents in the region along with their leaders. And we had a conversation yesterday about this idea of going from E to P. Now, E to P is something that is foundational to Keller Williams. So if you're with Keller Williams, you know what I'm talking about. It's one of our 6 personal perspectives. It's in the Millionaire Real Estate Agent. It's in the One Thing book. It's likely posted on a wall in the training room in your office. Like E to P is foundational to what we do. And yet we had some really cool ahas about it yesterday, and I want to talk about them with you today. E to P, moving from this entrepreneurial, easy behavior to a more purposeful one, and how you can tell when you need to do that. We're going to talk about it in just a minute. But first, a couple of Tell Me Something Goods. George Freelove, good morning, friend.
Good morning, James. Something good. Last Saturday, there were two veterans events I attended. One was the Veterans Association of Real Estate Professionals, the Stop, Drop, and Push, where we support that 22 veterans commit suicide every day. We raised over $10,000 to prevent veteran suicide. That evening, Marlene and I attended a camaraderie gala where I mentor veterans who are transitioning out of the military. They also do veterans counseling, many other things. And that gala, we raised
Let's
$113,000.
go, George.
So anyway, that's my something good.
Thanks for all you do for that community. I know you're very passionate about it, and it's just wonderful to hear about, George. Thank you so much to you. Bree Vaughn, good morning to you, and thank you to you, along with Nakia Dollar and Autherine Johnson, for covering for me this week. Bree, good morning.
It's always an honor, and welcome back. So my something good is, so the first part of it is that I want a listing in a neighborhood where it's a cul-de-sac community. There's an agent that lives in this cul-de-sac that everyone was pressuring my seller, asking if they were using this agent, but they chose me, and it's a friend, not a friend, sorry, she's a colleague from the Women's Business League that I lead. So that's the first win in that. And I mean, she was like pressured, like high school pressured to go with this guy. The second part of that is we put the listing on. We did the Julie Hess open house, listed on Thursday, do the open house on Saturday. Got multiple offers. They are under contract, over asking price, and on their way to their next destination. So I am just so grateful for this community and the things that we can take from it. And onward, upward we go.
We say learn the plays, run the plays all the time on here. And so every day, those of you that are on basically every day, like Bree, you learn the plays, there's no doubt. The question is, are you running them? Are you choosing to go put them into action and implement the strategies you're learning? And because on this call, there's no theory. We don't share theory. In fact, the people who I find out share theory, I call them and say, quit sharing theory. Start sharing what you know works. Like, let's take strategy and implement. And Bree's done it, and it's worked, y'all. Let's go. Somebody else who's learned the plays and run the plays, and she's really done that her whole life because she's an athlete too, is Carrie Dobo. So, Carrie, what you got? Good morning.
Good morning. Thanks for calling on me. And also last Saturday, George, I guess it was a busy day. I hosted my second Table Builders event, but I did a little different spin on it, and I did it for the women on the team that I'm on, and it was received really well. And I learned that in this community, but it was the feedback I got from it was so nice to get together without alcohol and not talking about business. And then I went to the Atlanta dinner put together by Authorine and Marianne Blamey, and my cup has never been so full, and I've never been so exhausted at the same time, which I know you can relate to, James. But the call out from that was I had to go put a key out at a listing that I have coming after that. That was kind of a far drive. And Bonnie Paget was like, hey, that's on my way home. Let me just drop it off for you.
That's nice.
And that is just amazing. So
Love it.
thank you
It's a
for
great community. Those of you who are here, it gets even better when you come to the stuff we do or get to do your hangouts in your community, which is great. Table builders is something we learned at Elevate. That's Alice Daly's program, and she came and taught that, and a lot of you went and ran with it. It's just, I get excited because we're working hard. I'm very passionate about helping you succeed and win. Um, but what excites me is how smart the community is. You are the ones with the answers and the ideas, and then you make the decision as to whether or not you're going to implement them. And right now is a time for you to get really purposeful. You know, yesterday we brought this up, like I said, in our ALC clinic in the Virginias region, where we talked about this idea of E2P. And I know that not everyone is familiar with it. So I'm going to show you just real quick a little bit about, what E2P is and what it looks like. What is going on? Here we go. Okay. So I want to show you this. And so if you're listening, as you're driving around or you're listening to the podcast version, if you go to my YouTube channel, you'll be able to see what I'm showing you. So if you go to youtube.com/@JamesDShaw, you'll be able to see this. But this is this concept of E2P that Gary Keller introduced to us many, many, many years ago. And if you look at the very top, it talks about the entrepreneurial approach, what comes naturally. And we get excited whenever we're doing something new or we're pursuing a goal or we're getting after it, and we get real excited. And that's what this little line is right here that's going up. But then eventually we all hit this ceiling of achievement. And when we do, the first thing that we experience is disappointment, frustration, maybe anger. Now, I'm just curious, has anyone experienced this year any disappointment, frustration, or anger? Just in the chat, let me know if you have any disappointment, frustration, or anger this year. And my guess is that yes, it does. And I want you to think specifically in your business for a moment, because you could have disappointment, frustration, and anger in anything. Your marriage, what's going on at home, what's going on in the world, whatever. You can have all that. But I want you to put in the chat for your business, what's an area that has caused you some disappointment, frustration, and anger? Just tell me in the chat, what are some of those areas that have caused that you've gone, why isn't this working? Or how is this? And so it's clients, leverage, listings, prices, sellers not listening, friends listed with someone else, inconsistent results, all that stuff. Now, here's the thing. I want to put it back on the screen to tell you is that you have a couple of choices. You have a couple of choices when you experience disappointment or frustration. See, the first choice is when you experience disappointment and frustration because you've hit this natural ceiling, you can go through these steps. One is resignation. Well, it's just harder out there right now. You know, sellers just really aren't listening. Buyers just don't, you know what, they lie. You know what, my broker just isn't doing what they should do to help me. I just need better tools. And we go through this resignation process, which leads you to greener pastures. Maybe I should do something else for a living. Maybe I should go get a job. Maybe I should join a team. Maybe I should blow up the team. Maybe I need to change brokers. Maybe I need to do this or do that or whatever. And so then maybe you do that. Maybe you do quit your being a solo agent and go join a team, or you do quit selling houses and go get a job, or you do decide to downsize the team and you do most of the work yourself, or you whatever. When you make that change, when you've gone through this greener pastures and you make the change, you actually get excited again because now you have something new and you're on this path to something exciting and great. But all you do is eventually, again, you hit a ceiling and you go back to this disappointment, frustration, or anger. Now, the aha we had yesterday was we've got to make sure that we understand that once we experience disappointment, frustration, or anger, we can either go into resignation and blame and be a victim, or we can use that as an alert. Think of it like a light that comes up on your car dash that says, hey, your tire pressure's low. And hopefully you don't ignore that. You go and put air in the tire. And maybe instead of just putting the air in the tire, you actually get a new tire because it has a big hole in it and you're tired of filling it up every 3 weeks. So when you experience disappointment, anger, and frustration, you use it as an indicator that, okay, hold up, wait a minute, something ain't right. I've got to go either narrow my focus, add a model, or implement a system. That's what it says down here. See, in order for me to have a breakthrough, I've got to narrow my focus on what matters. In other words, take the noise and the stuff that, here's the thing, the stuff that you do not have control over. See, if you're experiencing anger, disappointment, and frustration, sometimes it's over stuff you don't have any control over. So we've got to narrow our focus on the stuff we can control, whether this is in your business or your life or your marriage or your home or whatever. Let's narrow our focus to the stuff we have control over and then ask, is there a model or a system I can implement? In other words, is there a play I can learn and a play that I can run? Use your anger, disappointment, and frustration as a warning light and ask, am I narrowing my focus on the things I can control? And then what model or system could I add or implement? Now, my guess is that you have some areas in your life that are causing you anger, disappointment, or frustration over and over and over again, certain areas. But you ask, how do I narrow my focus on the things that I can control? For example, the ones in the chat right now, other people listening with friends. Boy, that would make me angry and frustrated and annoyed. How can I narrow my focus on the things I can control? Well, I can control how often I communicate with my friend, how often I remind them that this is what I do for a living, how often, what ways I add value to them in addition to just being a friend, but also being a local real estate agent. I can let go and know that they still might choose somebody else, that I ultimately don't have control over who they hire, but I do have control about how often I reach out to them and let them know what I do and add value to them. What system or model do I need to implement so that they recognize that I am their friend, and in addition to being their friend, I'm also a trustworthy, successful, and smart real estate agent? And then let go of the stuff you can't control. And I'm telling you, this E2P model, here was the aha I had last night on my flight home at 10:30 p.m. I'm getting wound up and frustrated and angry about things I don't have any control over. I got to narrow my focus on the things that I can control and then implement models and systems around those things to help me out. Let's hear from you on this. Julie Hess, good morning.
Good morning from North Carolina for a few days. You're absolutely right. So I did not get 3 listings, and with each of them, I had to step back and think about them. And what I realized is that I need to stay in my lane and absolutely not step out of it, and then quiet all the noise, and and really take my time to really prep for when I'm going on to those listings. So if I have a listing appointment at 1, I'm not having another one at 4. I keep the rest of my afternoon open just in case I need to stay there until they sign the document. So I'm slowing it down, and I'm getting rid of the noise. But the one thing that happened to me the other day and really woke me up, and I know a few were going to be like, are you serious? You just figured this out? We are in a different market. And during COVID, I didn't have to know my competition's number. I didn't have to. And yet I lost out because there was this perception that this one person in the borough sells more than anybody, second or third generation. And when I finally got the call that they decided to go with them, I had that same perception, James, that he sold more than me. So I went back for 2 years. And guess what? He sold 10, I sold 10. 4 of his were, under 500, which she had the perception they were all $1 million. And when I really broke it down, I actually had more than he did. She already listed with him and signed. So I did text her and say, thank you for not hiring me because you forced me to go back and look at my numbers for the Camp Hill Borough. And wow, that was really eye-opening. If you'd like to chat, please feel free to give me a call.
That's really good.
But what a lesson, because I
Yep.
could have had his numbers right there, and I could have explained to her that there is this perception, which is not true. So,
Good answer. I like the slow down part. I think this is a smart thing for us. When we're getting frustrated, angry, and disappointed, we need to just slow down for a minute and ask, is my focus been narrowed on the things that I can control? What model and system do I need? Slow down for a minute. Naomi and I were talking about this last week, just about all sorts of stuff. And all I told her was how thankful I am that I was not in middle school and high school right now. Because how the speed at which everything moves through social media, text, and email, and all that kind of stuff is so fast that you don't give yourself time to pause and think. And I'm asking everybody for a minute before you get crazy on your keyboard or send a text to somebody or respond or react because you've gotten frustrated and annoyed and disappointed, to slow down for a minute and pause and ask, is this something I am kind of narrow my focus on the part that I can control, and what model or system can I implement? But slow down, y'all. And that's what Julie just said. Tulio Penga, good morning.
Thank you, James. One thing that took place this week was I was definitely feeling some disappointment and frustration in my videos. I've been making videos for nearly 3 years, and I've had a company putting them together for me, putting them out to Facebook, YouTube, Instagram, TikTok, hashing them up and everything. And they just really haven't been delivering. I haven't been getting clients from them. I have been sending videos to people and to watch, and then I've won some people over because I've directly sent, but they haven't been working the way that I want them to work. No one's clicking through and finding us.
Mm-hmm.
So Jessica, along with our media company, did a real deep dive into the analytics of it and did a real study on it. Y'all know Jessica. I mean, Jessica Pulig. And it was really neat because they did it without me on it. And it was kind of like watching a sport and them doing an analysis of your delivery, your lighting, your tempo, your everything. And you know, it was really cool. It was an hour and a half of watching them hash me up. And I wasn't like upset by it. I loved it. I've watched it twice now. I've taken notes. There was brief frustration at the beginning because I'm like, man, I've put 3 years into this. But then I also said, you know what? I can't say that's a failure. I have gotten so much practice
Yeah.
doing this stuff. I've gotten better from doing it. Now, with the combination of Sarah Maslowski's class and Lauren Lucas's materials, we are just refining and getting better. And I know we're going to knock this out of the park. And within 6 months to 12 months, we are going to be cranking and doing like Ken Posick type business. And that's my expectation of us with where we're going. And I'm more excited than ever because of it. So
See, that's a great example of, I'm not telling you that disappointment and frustration and anger are bad. I don't think those are bad things. That's a natural response that we have when things aren't going the way we want them to go. The question is what choice you make after you've experienced this disappointment, frustration, and anger. And your choice was to go and pause and slow down and go look and figure out where can we get better? Where can we improve? What model or system do we need to implement? That's what you just talked about. Your Sarah Maslowski's models and systems, which she taught for us, which, by the way, all of you can get. You can go to jamesdshaw.com and click coaching. Her class is available on demand for you. You can go take it. Lauren Lucas, who's in the Inspire Collective now every single month for a year, is teaching us the tools to be able to help leverage AI to make it better. That anger and disappointment and frustration isn't bad. It's a warning sign for you that we've got to slow down, pause, and add a model, a system, or tool. Tulio, thank you so much. Nicole Romanek, good morning.
Good morning. Sorry, mute button. James, every November at Advance, you give us the best opportunity to go from E to P. And I have taken that every single year and made a really good plan to make changes to my business, whether it's going bigger, whether it's going smaller. And I love that because it is a time that we have the opportunity to plan, and we're not doing things out of frustration, and we're not doing things out of anxiety. And I think when we really take that time to do things and think about what's really needed in our business, yeah, we want to know how many units we want to sell. We'll do the lid exercise and blah, blah, blah. But it's a good opportunity to hone into your business and really figure out what you need. Each year in January, I implement something new, whether it's, an admin, if it's office space, or, shifting and adding a TC or whatever. And it's such a good opportunity every single year to go from E to P and plan it accordingly.
It's the truth. I'm excited about Advance this year because not only will we then take the MREA stuff, which we always do, we're going to implement just some general smart goal setting tips from a guy like John Acuff, who'll be with us all day, literally all day, walking through all that stuff. I think this year's Advance is going to be awesome. And you're right. Just learn your plays and run them. Folks, there is a lot going on in your business and outside of your business. And you are going to get angry and disappointed and frustrated in your business and out of your business. And when you do, I'm just asking, first, are you narrowing your focus to what you can control? And then second, are you looking for the model or system that you could add, implement, or use that would help improve whatever it is that's causing you disappointment, frustration, and anger? But the key is you've got to get narrowed down to the stuff you have control over. Sometimes stuff you don't have control over is going to give you frustration, anger, and disappointment. Go figure out what you do have control over and then run the model or system you need for that. Thank you for being here. We're out of time. I apologize we didn't get to everybody. Thank you for being here all week. I want to tell you about one last thing before we go. October 13th, put it in your day timer. October 13th, the week of October 13th, actually, we are going to kick off our Pipeline Power Week. It's our fourth quarter Inspire Collective Challenge. Inspire Collective Challenge, that's our membership community. We're doing our Pipeline Power Week the week of October 13th. We'll meet at noon Eastern, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, those days. Inspire members. So Inspire Collective members, map it out because I want you to have a strong fourth quarter and a great Q1. But we're going to do something special. And we're going to do little mini Pipeline Power Weeks on Pivot Shift Ahead that week as well. So we'll cover some general ideas before we go deep. We'll go really deep on the strategies and the tools and what to implement in Pipeline Power Week for Inspire members only. But I don't want to leave the rest of you behind. So our pivot calls that week will be Pipeline Power Week focused as well, the week of October 13th. So circle those dates. So that's a week you don't miss. And then Inspire members, make sure you have noon Eastern, that Monday through Thursday on your calendar, so you can make sure you're learning the plays and running them so you have a strong fourth quarter and a great Q1. Thank you to everybody for being here. I'd love to continue to connect with you, so get in the Pivot Shift Ahead Facebook group if you're not already, and come meet me on the Instagram. Listen, I need like 400 people to hit 10,000 so I can tell my 13-year-old I'm an influencer. So go add me on the Instagram, okay? James D. Shaw. Thanks for being here. You got your inspiration. Go put in the perspiration. We'll see you Monday. Bye, everybody.
Thank you,
Thanks,
James.
James. Good weekend, everybody.